If you've ever wanted to leave the country that you live in and move abroad, you might have had questions in your brain where you're like, is this even possible? How do I do it? What's the process? And I'm not an expert on this matter, but I have moved from the UK, lived in Thailand for 2.5 years, ran a business there, and now I'm in the process of moving to Singapore. So I thought I'd just answer a couple of questions that I know people do have about how difficult it is to up sticks and move somewhere else. If we look at Thailand for an example, Thailand loves people coming into Thailand to spend money. That's their whole thing. And so if you're looking for a place to move for a lower cost of living and a higher quality of life, then Thailand can actually offer you a lot. So firstly, to actually move to Thailand, all you need to look at is what visa suits you. Do you need to work? Are you going to just live there off money that you make online, or are you going to go there and study? A lot of countries will have working visas, education visas, and then some will even have digital nomad visas. So if you're making money online and you don't need to work inside the country, there is usually a separate visa that you could get that would be suitable for you. So when I went to Thailand, I arrived there on a tourist visa, realized that I wanted to have a work permit, and so what I did was I set up a company there, and that was very helpful because it let me do lots of other business activities in Thailand. Getting a working visa in Thailand is not super simple, but if you set up a company for yourself, which is not too expensive, it's possible to do on a budget of like £10,000-15,000. But that helped me have a pretty good foothold in the country, whereas a lot of people will move there on education visas, which are very easy to get. You just have to learn Thai or learn Thai boxing or similar, but then you're not allowed to work there. Now, all of this is actually a lot easier to find out if you are already in the country, rather than just sitting online and you're tapping away on Google asking questions. And I would recommend people that instead of doing the research at home on Google, you should go to the country that you're considering living in, and you should speak to an accountant or a visa agent or a business advisor to really give you the real information as it is on the ground. Because when I was in the process of setting up a business in Thailand, the information that actually existed online was very different to how it actually happened in practice. So remember that. What you read online is likely to not actually be correct in practice. So for those of you who are going, oh, I don't know how to get the visa, I don't know how to do this or that or the other, the easiest way to do all of that is to actually go to the country you want to be in and talk to people whose job it is to find visa solutions for foreigners who want to live in a country. So for Thailand, they now have the Destination Thailand visa, which is suitable for people who make money online. Let's say content creators, drop shippers, people working in e-commerce or online tutors, anything like that, that can be covered with the Destination Thailand visa. Whereas if you actually want to work in the country or set up a business in the country, you're going to need a working visa, a business visa, and you're also going to need a work permit. Now for Singapore, Singapore is a different kettle of fish to Thailand. So I have just set up a business here in Singapore, which was fairly easy to do. It cost about 1,000 Singapore dollars. And then with that business, I am going to be employing myself and getting myself the correct work pass so that I can work in Singapore. We have a lot of different things that we want to be doing. So the company that we set up is quite broad, but mainly it's a media company because I make media. All of these things seem much more difficult when you are outside of the country. If someone was to say to me, Tom, you're going to set up a business in Singapore in 2024, I'd have been like, oh, am I? Did I come into a lot of money? But in reality, I set that up very, very cheaply, and the procedure to get the visa, it's not outrageous. I had to put 1 year's salary into a business bank account just so that the government knows that I will be able to afford to pay my salary. I set that up with a local friend of mine who I went to school with, and he's my partner, owns equity in the business as well. And I wouldn't have known all of that had I not had my feet on the ground in the country here. So that's my advice to you, right? The first piece of advice is actually go to the place that you want to find out about a future in, and see if it's right for you, firstly. But secondly, the advice you're going to get is a lot more relevant and poignant if you're actually in that location. As I say, Google is not the resource that you want to be using for a lot of things. Right? Google is great for a tertiary glance, but for complicated matters, like what is the appropriate route for you to take in getting a visa, that's best to actually ask someone whose job it is to provide that information to you. Now, I know that for some people, the idea of upping sticks and moving to a completely different place is daunting. You're moving away from your family, you're moving away from your friends. But if you look at an alternative location as being able to provide more opportunity for you your family, and you feel like that you just want to try it. Well, life is so short that there is really no downside. And remember, if it doesn't work out, you can always move back home. You can always try somewhere else. But you don't want to be in that position where you're old, on your last innings, and you look back at all the things you could have done and go, wow, wish I'd given it a try. Wish I'd given it a try. That's the worst thing to me. So my second piece of advice to you would be to give it a go. Because what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to have a life experience. You're going to have a bit of substance that you didn't have before. And that's been a great benefit of my last 3 years of life living in Asia. It's been a journey. It's not been easy, but it has shaped a lot of what I'm about as a person now. I think I did a lot of growing up. You know, I came out here when I was 23 and I'm nearly 26 now. And I feel that's been a real fundamental core bit of my life. And I'm very grateful for that. Living somewhere else changes you. You get bits of the local culture embedded in you. And although I left Thailand with a bitter taste in my mouth, which we won't talk about now, but we will talk about that in a future video, I'm sure, I was very grateful for the fact that I was able to go to Thailand with pretty much nothing and leave in a fairly good position. And I don't know if there's many countries in the world where that could happen. I couldn't replicate the same thing here in Singapore because really I have to have capital in order to start my endeavours here. And I'm fortunate that I do have the required capital now because of the work I did in Thailand. And I'm grateful for that. You should look at this potential decision you're about to make or you're considering as an adventure, because that's what it is. It is an adventure. If you've spent the whole of your life living in one location, then surely you know that you could benefit from changing that up a little bit. And even if it's only for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, that stint will provide you so much. And even if that's not financial, it may be for personal development, it may be a new relationship, it may be many things. But what's the harm in trying? Especially right now. And I'll speak directly to Brits and to Canadians and to people from the States. Especially right now, our countries aren't doing so great. And Asia seems to be growing very, 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 very quickly. Business is done quickly here, and it's exciting to be here. And there's opportunity here, and there's growth here. And I don't necessarily just mean, Asia's the only place to consider. Because I know lots of people are considering Central South America for places to relocate to as well. Some people even considering South Africa, although I don't know too much about South Africa as a place that I would want to relocate. It's very dangerous. Look, what I am saying here is that you have a finite number of days on this earth to go out there and seize opportunity. And you might as well follow up on these dreams and ideas you have, even if to you and your family and your friends they seem far-fetched. Because realistically, you are one plane ticket away from being thousands of miles away from everything you know. And surely there is some opportunity. There are things to be done. There's things to be created. And who knows? It could all pay off. It could pay off very nicely. You could be very grateful that that's the decision you opted to make. Remember, guys, do subscribe. I hope this has been beneficial to some of you. God bless. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.